Separate the intent inside of your training. Man, I wish more people understood this topic, because if they did, they would be able to tailor each individual type of exercise to the result they're looking to achieve. But what we see in a lot of gyms, and just what I see generally with people who exercise, is like there's not a whole lot of that separation of intent, and it's almost like all exercise is viewed the same. So I'm gonna break this down for you guys. What I'm talking about is just understanding what is the outcome that we're looking to achieve from the reps, exercise, type of exercise we're performing in the first place. I think a phenomenal example of this is just differentiating explosive, speed-based exercise and slow muscle or strength-focused exercise. So what I mean by this is anytime we're trying to develop power, speed, explosiveness, we want to be moving relatively lighter loads really fast as possible. That's how we build power and explosiveness. When we're looking to build muscle, it's maximum resistance against that muscle tissue, all while still prioritizing tempo, range of motion, mind-muscle connection. Same thing with strength. We have to perform these reps smart. We have to take that load through a full range of motion. We have to stay in control of that load, and we have to make sure that the right muscles are initiating the movement. Two totally separate intents. So we want the explosive exercise to be light and fast and less resistance, but when it's the strength and muscle work, we want maximum resistance against that muscle tissue and working slow and controlled to create as much tension as possible. But if you don't know that, both of those might blend together, where maybe some of that strength and the hypertrophy work you're performing really fast, and then there's that light, explosive, power-based exercise where we're performing slow. We see this all the time. Look at any bodybuilder who tries to do kettlebell swings on Instagram. They're like really slow reps. And then vice versa, you see some people in the gym where they're doing more like strength or muscle focused work, and they're just like flying out of control reps. Or you kind of just see this weird in between where everybody's kind of just performing everything at the same tempo and speed. This is why separating the intent is so important. Same kind of thing with conditioning. You see a lot of workout class formats where it's basically just a lot of high intensity interval training. We're doing a lot of like high volume, high repetition, low rest work. That is its own intent. Our intent there is to drive high heart rate, keep rest low, and maximize work output. Totally separate intent than what we were doing with our explosive work and with our strength and our hypertrophy work. So you guys are kind of seeing that cadence here and just seeing that theme of separating the intent between the exercises. And this is how you build a well-rounded program. This is how I build well-rounded programs for all of my clients. We're able to separate that intent between the mobility, between the strength work, between the muscle work, and between the conditioning, all while still able to hit all of those modalities within a session, but separating the intent within each. So when we're starting off with that mobility, we're focused on body weight most of the time, full range, joint range of motion training, where we're looking to extend that end range of that shoulder joint, the hip joint if we're doing, hip cars, or the spine if we're working rotation. So really intentionally trying to extend that deep range of motion, going slow, going controlled is our intent in our mobility. When we're doing our strength work in the beginning, we're gonna be loading the body a little bit heavier, lower volume, and we're gonna wanna make sure that that rest is like peak, because, and this is where the separation of intent matters so much, say we negate that rest between sets, that is then going to decrease the intensity and the output that we were getting in the beginning. So we don't want that intensity or that output to get diluted across sets in our strength and our muscle work. So that's why we need maximum rest. Now, if we're conditioning, that rest might be less and that work output might be higher. Different intent, more muscular endurance. So again, this is why the intent is so important, because again, there's a lot of people that go into the gym, they go to their strength and their muscle work, and they're like, let me decrease my rest time, and this is increasing my cardio. Like, this is better cardio. It's like, dude, we got the cardio later. This is your time to develop strength and muscle. Take the rest, separating the intent. Then we get to the conditioning and say, I throw a 40-20 kind of Tabata format at my clients where it's 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest. We're not necessarily going to be focused on peak resistance and maximal load like we would with strength and hypertrophy and muscle-based work. We're gonna focus on a little bit lighter loading, higher volume, higher repetitions, higher output, less rest to work that conditioning and that cardiovascular stimulus. More specifically, that anaerobic stimulus that we're getting from that high heart rate, low rest conditioning. So you guys can see, I just broke down an entire session from start to finish of mobility, strength, hypertrophy, and conditioning, and the separation of intent at each one of those modalities. And this is how you guys can get a nice, diverse training program where you're getting all of those different modalities, getting the maximum return from each of those modalities, knowing the intent behind them. And that is what's crucial. You know, you guys see so much people in the gym, they're doing one thing, training one system, training one modality. And I'm a firm believer that a well-rounded approach is the best approach. And I'll tell you why. Anytime I've gone too hard down strength, anytime I focus too much on heavy load, low volume, and I pigeonhole myself. I go hard in there. Guess what? Muscle growth, probably gonna plateau a little bit. Cardiovascular ability is gonna take a hit. My mobility, probably gonna get a little bit tighter if I'm not prioritizing that mobility. So you can see there's always a pitfall by going too hard down one avenue. With the muscle hypertrophy and the bodybuilding, anytime I've gone too hard down that realm, same thing. Not enough prioritization of mobility and joint range of motion, so I start to get stiff. Not as much priority on heavy loading, so not seeing a whole lot of strength progressions in the higher volume work relative to the lower volume work. Also, not so much cardio conditioning or working that anaerobic or aerobic system. Or conditioning. If we go too hard down the conditioning and the cardio, if all we do is cardio, we're gonna lose muscle and strength. So I'm telling you guys, a well-rounded approach to training is the best approach to training because you are never limited. You will always have strengths and you will eliminate a lot of the weaknesses, and you will honestly find more weaknesses through that well-rounded approach because you will reveal what you're not as good at and what your body needs more of, which will then allow you to lean into those things even deeper and get even better results in the bigger macro picture. What I'm telling you guys can really, really make a massive difference in your fitness journey and can help you so much in getting results. Because going back to when we don't understand that intent, it's easy to go into the gym and just perform everything the same. And then it's just like, we're not really getting anything from that. Again, something is always better than nothing. I will always encourage you guys, like if you're showing up to the gym, even if it's completely fucking random and you're showing up to the gym consistently, that is fantastic. I am just here for the people that are stuck, that are hitting a plateau, that have been in the game for a long time, and they're ready to break through and go to that next level. And that is who I coach. That is who I work with. And so, if you guys need any help, just shoot me a message and I'll be happy to help.